Welcome to the Magma Classroom, our weekly digital painting study session in partnership with Wacom. This particular classroom series focuses on the basics of digital painting, starting with the fundamentals of value, shapes, light and color. We've done a good few apples and spheres already in previous lessons, tried our hands at some more interesting still life studies, broken down simple landscapes, and even run a gauntlet of timed exercises to speed up the learning process. These 1-hour study sessions are aimed at beginners finding their feet with digital painting, illustrators who want to tackle new subjects to grow their visual library, and more experienced painters wanting to warm up or wind down with something different from their usual work. I'm your host Ryan, the resident artist at Magma, and together we'll be sharpening our skills each week with a new subject to study. Top up your mug and grab your drawing tablet. While you wait, be sure to subscribe if you're not already so that you can stay updated about future sessions. We'll be getting started shortly. Hello everybody. Welcome to the classroom. We're back with another environment study. Yes, full screen, that's what I wanted. Alrighty, so if you are tuning in, watching on YouTube, you want to come along and do a little study with us. We're going to spend the next hour just fiddling around with this reference, trying to make sense of it, and yeah, let's... Benny Finney saying definitely more practice on things like this. For sure, me too. Me too. That's why we're doing it. Not because I need practice, but yeah, it's always good to try something new and fresh and different. So anyway, I got a bit sidetracked there. If you want to join in, you're watching on YouTube or on Twitch. If you're on YouTube, check the stream description. All the details are there. You'll have to first join the Magma Classroom Artspace, and then from there you can follow the link to the canvas. If you're watching on Twitch, let me know. I'll have to copy and paste links into the chat. You're welcome to chat here, those of you who are participating in the stream chat or on Canvas chat. That's fine too. So we've got Only for Leah, Andy, and Burning Phoenix here already. Nice. We've got a bunch of canvases down here, so enough space for everybody. I can keep making more as we need them. The idea here, of course, as always with the classroom, is not to make perfect paintings. The idea is to study, and it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay for things to look a bit off, but you're putting in the time to problem solve and figure out how to get a little bit closer to the reference material, or use that, applying a bit of imagination with it to a similar sort of environment that you might like to create. But I think for the most part, we'll try and stay relatively close to our main reference image, which is this one here. But feel free to play around with it. If you feel like this is a little too easy as it is, then you can go further. We've got some other reference material here as well, which maybe you could even combine with this main image in some way. For example, this bridge and waterfall, I think, would quite easily work to bring through underneath this little shrine in the pond here, and put it within a grander environment. How to do that exactly, I'm still trying to figure out myself, and we'll see. I'll start off, for those of you who are more beginners and not sure how to tackle something like this, I will go through my thinking process and trying to figure this out, you can follow along. For those who are used to doing studies like this, feel free to just dive right in. No need to follow along on anything. Just go for it. Just go for it. You don't have to stick to the hour. Now I'm talking a lot instead of actually making marks on the canvas. But sometimes it's good to set a time limit. So yeah, first thing we want to do as we get started is just assess our reference image here a little bit. See what we're looking at. Of course, we're looking at some sort of structure in a body of water. Maybe it's a shrine of some nature. But the base of it is a pretty simple shape. Okay, we've got pretty much just a block in the water. Oh, that was I found my tablet a bit funny there and I made a completely wrong mark. But weird having my arm placed the way I have it here. Let me just use shift. Okay. So in doing this as well, we notice that we have a bit of perspective going on. This will trail off into the distance, and this looks to be at about eye level-ish, this sort of section here. Slightly off. Come down slightly there. But we have this block in the water. If you've done shapes in perspective before, you can kind of start off with just creating a three-dimensional form like this. Yep. Then leaning back, just squinting a little bit. Maybe I should adjust my mic. How's my mic level here? I adjusted it a bit lower. Let me bring it up a bit. Okay, and now you can hear the dogs barking, I'm sure. Then we have this overall shape here, which is it's going sort of towards something triangular. It cuts off a little bit. Mic sounds all good. Okay, great stuff. So if I were to draw sort of from here out, maybe from this one over, we can kind of create this triangle, but then start to fit everything in, almost like creating a grid for ourselves to work with. Yeah, again, with that perspective, it's trailing off at a sharper angle towards our vanishing point now. Just something to pay attention to. So there's all these little things we can incorporate here. This also goes off, so it's going to trail off towards our vanishing point. Yeah, so it's a little bit more of a tricky one, breaking down into shapes. Of course, we've got this triangle here. Yeah, this kind of, it's going to be a slanting down thing here. Maybe makes another sort of triangle, but then upturns. So you can break it down into shapes that make sense for you to be able to build up together. Yeah. And in terms of values, just to tell us a little bit about what's going on the light side of things, of course, this area underneath, we've got quite a strong light source here, direct sunlight. So things in the shadows here are very dark. Yeah. Same, you can see a bit of it there. Underneath here, also really dark. Not a lot of light reflecting into these areas. Let's cut off there. Otherwise, getting quite a bit of light. And then we've got the reflection in our water too. So if we're looking at values, we can kind of block in those overall shapes. But it's got a bit of movement to it. Okay, so I'm going to be somewhat quiet now. Let's try to figure things out. Zoom out a little bit. It's hot as heck here, but uncomfortable for drawing. My drawing glove has had enough of me for one day. Oh, if you don't have Blaze, just refresh your page. I enabled it, I think, just after you joined. So yeah, as part of our promo with Wacom for the months of June and July and August, people who are participating in our streams, they get access to Blaze. If you stick around for at least half an hour, you'll get a 7-day trial if you haven't got it already for the month. Okay, drawing time. Let's go. So I want to get in this basic shape first, keeping my brush pretty small. And you can either just do a sketch, or you can go straight to painting if you want to. That's kind of up to you. Everyone has a slightly different approach. But if you are a beginner, I would say it's probably best to just start with a sketch. Looking, and also try to get closer to the reference, rather than indulge imagination too much here if you're a beginner. Because the study itself, trying to get as close to the reference as you can, is going to be valuable for your learning. Oh, I can't draw lines in the direction I need them today. This is fairly narrow, just looking at, so I'm trying to like draw these lines for myself. Let's do this in a different color. Some things, because I'm sure I'll do this frequently. Okay. If I'm looking at the corner of this, so there, obviously we've got quite a wide section there, and another wide section there, which is ever so slightly smaller, just if we're looking at things in perspective, we're paying attention to that. And obviously this is quite narrow. So let's do, oops. Let's do this. And let's set up this game. This is more or less slightly wider. I'm just trying to create relationships, right? So I can see with this here is a little narrower than this space here, but only ever so slightly. So I can use these reference points. To there, probably. And this space. That's a bit wider. So if I make a line like this, I know I need to go a little bit longer than that. I need to make a slightly longer line. Like there. And then this is kind of similar. So if I just ghost that mark, all right, just get used to making that distance of a stroke. I can just reapply that. Almost like set a temporary muscle memory and then put it here. Okay, so we've got some placement of things. It's quite sharp, that angle. This one is slightly narrower, going off into perspective, and it ends. Yeah. Just trying to establish relationships between things. This is with any sort of painting, when you're trying to replicate your reference, you're always looking at relationships, following lines, see how far some things are from other things. Up. So this was just a guideline, so I'm going to erase that. It's also a guideline. That was also a guideline. This comes in a bit. Put the wall there. Wall there. And if you want to, if you're getting confused when you start drawing all these lines, of course you've got some angled away from you in one direction and angled another way. You can just make more lines that follow the direction towards the vanishing point, just to help differentiate if you need it. So like here, I know this one's coming in. It's like doing the contour lines on an arm or a leg or something, and when you're trying to just understand your anatomy. But I'm really taking the long route here, really going slow about it. And that's okay. So with that slight gradient here, things are also tapering off a little bit in this direction. So we start with this corner, like a gentle gradient in this direction. this section gets a bit tricky. It's kind of like a triangle here. But you can't see it comes down behind it and then in. So again, here the easiest thing to do is to draw those reference points. So where is the top of that roof, this point of the roof, relative to these other lines that we've got? So if I go in, I look here, obviously much closer towards this side. So I can do it sort of like here, perhaps. Establish that line. Follow the perspective. It's a bit exaggerated. This point here, it's just in a little bit of this. And then it comes long and down. And up again. These points as well are probably also going to follow, well, not probably, most likely, if sticking with the symmetrical design, are also going to follow the perspective lines. Let's just keep that in mind. But I haven't set up a perspective grid, so it can be tricky to stay sort of accurate with that. That's something you build over time. Hey TBT, welcome. And here as well, just drawing these lines. And then once you get your sketch in, then you can, like just roughly, it doesn't have to be a perfect sketch because this is very rough and ugly. Very rough and ugly indeed. Then you can just start blocking in the background, but just using this, you're setting up your guide. If I look at this, where does this situate itself? Just lift it here. Establishing the lines. This is almost directly like that. Up top here, it's almost in the middle of this. Cool, nice small gang today. And this here is also sort of more or less in the middle. What sort of height is that? If I compare these two things, it's much narrower, so it's not going to be like that. It's going to be maybe there. It's a bit smaller. And of course, even smaller still is the underside. Where's this corner? It's a tricky one. When you've got these things that curl up towards you, they can be challenging. Like this this piece here. This is kind of in line. Just establishing various markers. The only downside to doing things like I am now for a 1 hour study is that it's things go way too slow, and putting way too much emphasis on accuracy rather than capturing the feel. These hot climbs. So where was I here? Here. This. Something like that. So I'm not going to spend too much more time doing this kind of plotting out, because I'm going to be here for a really long time otherwise. But I've got a rough kind of perspective. If I want to play with this a bit more, maybe that water, still have this body of water, but it leads down to like the waterfall, perhaps. If I want to situate this in some sort of, this would be cool actually to do in an isometric perspective. Or maybe not isometric. Still exaggerate that 3-point. Tapers down to another pool of sorts. But we can shrink this down later and try that out. Let's just try and be somewhat accurate for the rest of this. So I'm going to create a new layer to put underneath and just use what I've put down now as a guide. Squint them out. Let's get a bit of a background in. Change my brush. Just need to go with a bit of a chalky thing. This water's kind of green. And we've got a grey. It's got a yellow green. It's quite bright. Maybe something like that. Nah, it needs to be more yellow than that. Reflecting a lot of the trees around it. But let's just, because I'm going to play around with perspective here, maybe what is going on in the texture here? Sort of a warm grey. Hints of cool down the bottom. Okay. It's bigger. So I'm just going to fill in. Get to the specifics later. Like I said in our previous sessions this week, I am no expert on environments. So if this is something that's pretty new for you, don't worry. It is for me too. We're here to challenge ourselves. Let's see if we can go darker in here. Maybe simplify. Let's make this whole area darker. Dark section here. Dark section here. Oops. Up in there. Maybe a bit more brown. It's been a long time today trying to find the right sort of reference. I had a very difficult time with it. I mean, this is cool, but it's not quite what I was going for. I was tempted to get us to actually just study some other environments done for games. So rather than looking at a photo reference, looking at some game art. got the dark reflection too. I really like the reference of the lighthouse on that rock as well. It's quite a nice one to play with. So that's probably okay. 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 Looks a bit off. That looks quite a bit off. Let's see. I'm going to use my lasso here. Yeah, it kind of blows my mind. I think there's a lot of those sort of photos that are also, I think, photoshopped, like manipulations. But then there are these like legit, unbelievable locations. Just that people would put something there. Not that they would, but that they could. And did. It's just, it's pretty rad. Hello, this is difficult. Mountain Pirate, ahoy! Yeah, your point there about Instagram pages posting AI images. I find that really sad as well. There was one that I've been following for a while as well that did that, and it wasn't so much they didn't fact check it, but I think they knew full well, shared it, and it just killed it for me. But that people are, showing these images without fact checking now in the age of AI, and just believing anything they read, which is a problem in all spheres. It's a bit worrying, but that's a whole other can of worms to unpack, which is maybe not appropriate for for the stream. But I totally get you. It's been bugging me as well, and in particular with finding reference. I always prefer that you use real life stuff to study, but there's a lot of how would you say, just stuff in the way. A lot more chunks of coal to sift through to find those nice reference images that I want to be using. So that's pretty annoying. And then you see people, I wasn't talking about the dogs. People using AI generated images for like more factual articles as well about the thing. Like when we did our octopus study, I was coming across a lot of generated images of octopi. Which is just a problem when you're trying to do research and they're using things that are wildly inaccurate. I don't know if the people writing them don't really care. I don't know. Absolutely, Burning Phoenix does make a much better case for traveling and going to museums. I think that's been the thing. I mean, that's always been relevant, but I feel like for me, who hasn't been visiting museums a lot lately, or for like a long time, it's become more of a thing. Like I need to actually get into museums more, look at some artifacts up close. Yeah, I know what you mean. Getting to see the raw file. Just that sometimes it depends on the camera. That sometimes it really loses a lot of that accurate color info. But I suppose that's the thing of learning how to take better photos. And he says, I'd like an AI training assistant in my painting program. How do you mean by a training assistant? Curious to know what that implies, or entails rather. But yeah, definitely we got to get out there more. For pointing out mistakes. Interesting. I think such technology is a long way out based on the current products. I think community is your best bet for feedback and pointing out mistakes. I know there's a lot of subjectivity there, but with art school I found that my peers often had some really valuable input. Oh, hell's bells. We are a half an hour in and I feel like I've only just started. I need to actually be squinting my eyes more. I think in the times we're in, communities banding together to go like hiking in the woods and have little sketch sessions at, you know, a waterfall in the area or at the museum, the aquarium, these kinds of things. This will be more valuable, more needed for gathering real references, but also just because we've become a bit, I don't know, for me, I feel like quite separated from like a physical art community. It's been a long time since I've hung out with fellow artists and gone on little drawing missions. It's easy to feel hopeless in all of that. Let's shift this out to blue, perhaps, for further in the distance. Actually, haven't you guys been out to like a museum or something in recent months to go and do some sketching? Obviously, with COVID, that sort of ended that sort of activity for a while. Really? Yeah. Went to a really cool museum in Jaipur last year. I think it was the last museum I went into, and got some awesome photos of like jewelry and weaponry. Some really cool mobile weaponry. Let's do some studies of. Just haven't got there yet. Traveling to New York City in the heat of summer to do that, don't recommend. The summer has been rough, eh? So the sun is... What is going on with our sun here? Is it like directly above? Vampire, I need to do some comfortable traditional mediums. Need to find some comfortable traditional medium for doing mobile studies. Prefer to block in bigger shapes from start. What's your feeling on charcoal? When it comes to blocking in shapes real quick, charcoal is great. Just a very messy medium to take out on the go with you. And that is, I'm sure, a positive to some and negative to others. How messy. Let's sort of shape up here. Let's forget about these. me try to get back into gouache. Yeah. Have you? I'm sure you've checked out James Gurney. Maybe he's got a video up on his channel about nice mobile setups. Because I mean, he does a lot of plein air stuff. I'm really messing around here. Ridiculous. Big shapes, right? It's big shapes. It's a bit of yellow and orange in there. Yeah. It's green, blue. Oh yeah, no, he's got quite a cool YouTube channel. Let's go a bit more towards blue. I'm just gonna get some of these bigger shapes in. But like we could just get some texture in. I should have probably done this much sooner. Haven't set with lighting scheme here. Yeah, his I haven't looked at his books, but I've heard them highly recommended. They come up a lot. Sort of a staple for a lot of people, I think, to have in their libraries. So one issue I have here is this is kind of brown. Oh, nice. I'm envious. Once I have a proper studio again and I'm able to start collecting books, those are definitely on my list. Speaking of such books, anyone got some favorites that they have on their shelves that they revisit frequently? Some other art books they recommend? Whether it's instructional or the art of a game or movie or Sid Mead or whatever. It's one of the first things we tend to go towards in house sitting for someone. See what books they got on their shelves. I've got a friend who's really into biographies at the moment. It would be interesting to get my hands on some artist biographies. Although maybe it's better not to sometimes. I don't know. Get to know your artistic heroes too well. Mythical beasts. Is that the 3D Total book that you're referring to? An artist's field guide to designing fantasy creatures. That sounds like one you would have in your shop. It's very interesting. What, paleontological? Is it paleontology? Dinosaurology. Oh, now I'm curious. I'm sure I've got that wrong. What is the study of dinosaurs? Oh, it is paleontology. Okay, I have it right. Lots of creature art. Disney character how to and animals here. Taught yourself with those. Awesome. Oh yes, one of my favorites. Do I still have it in storage, or was I forced to sell it? I can't remember. Was the art of Behind Two Towers, Lord of the Rings, which is a cool one because in that we started to get into other races and armor types. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you had a lot of fun with your bonsai tree yesterday in the clubhouse, did you too? How much longer? Oh, we're we're actually 10 minutes out. I read that at first that we were 20 minutes over. I didn't know how that happened. We've got 10 minutes left. Certainly not a successful study for me, I think. Well, I mean, study is too critical of a study, but I feel like I could have accomplished more with the time. But it's all right. It's all right. Not my best drawing self today. It's really difficult to draw in the heat. Haven't even started on the buildings. Oh, cool. Thanks, Mountain Pirate. See, I'll go have a look at those. Anyone here play GTA? It's been a little while. I was a big fan of Vice City. Played a little bit of San Andreas. Mountain Pirate, I like to pop a wheelie on a motorbike in GTA 5 and hit short walls and curbs while going really fast. Get some hang time. Okay, this was. Oh, what did I do here? I got my lines totally whacked. This was difficult. I have to spend some time just doing shorter, like thumbnail ideations of stuff like this to really improve. Hello, hello. Got a late joiner. Is it an Anfil? I don't know who the. Don't know these characters. Mountain pirate joins the canvas. A wild mountain pirate has appeared. So I wonder, would this be easier if I fold it in with dark, then added a wall? Maybe. Let's try it. This is I'm just laughing at myself being so inefficient with this. So we've got a line that runs through the middle. Let's run over here. Interesting how when I switch over to Discord for a moment, my audio goes completely mental. Hey, Lego. Catching us right at the end of the stream. Yeah, I mean, technology with me it's always doing funny things. It's always doing funny things. Kind of given up on trying to understand it. Alrighty, so we have hit the hour. Let's take a little look and see what everyone's done. Get the attention off of me for a little moment. Let's pull this little piece in. Who did we have here? Only for Leo, disappeared a little while ago. Made a start. Looks like it's starting to move towards a little like a little icon. Nice. Great work, Andy. Nice atmospheric piece. The lighthouse in the distance. Fun part going in with the clouds first. Good. Working from back to front. Great stuff here, Burning Phoenix. Cool choice of reference there. It's a fun one to work with. TBT going for it as well. I forgot the houses. I'm just adding water, and grass, and rocks, mountains. That's your vibe. That's all good. And of course, also using just a mouse, going for it anyway. Great work, guys. That was a lot of fun. Challenging one for sure. I definitely want to come back to this, but I think I'll have to start again. And yeah, as Andy says, did I say says? Wow. Okay. Clearly it's the end of the day for me. Doing more environment studies like this. Actually probably need to force myself into doing value studies limited to 10 minutes or something per reference. Just to keep the sweat flowing, keep you changing up, not spending too much time noodling around on one piece. It's difficult to put the time in sometimes, fit it all in. Especially when there's Baldur's Gate to play. Right. Let's see, let's do this. Should be a bit darker here too. Alright, so I'm going to stop there. And he says, I tend to draw really fast most of the time because my battery laptop only lasts 2 hours. I really feel lucky. Yeah, I can totally understand that. Cool. So I hope you guys have a great rest of the morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. And we'll chat again soon. Next week, we're going to be doing portraits. So quite a change from this. In the classroom, we'll do a portrait on Monday, a portrait on Thursday. And on Wednesday in the clubhouse, we'll pretty much apply that into doing monks and mages in our world of dragons. So, yeah. Until then, all the best. Happy painting.